All right, hello there, thrill seekers. I am back. And what did 5 nights in a hospital teach me about my position in the universe? We're going to talk about that after 20 seconds of good vibrations. All right, thrill seekers, that was, of course, a little bit of Good Vibrations, the old Beach Boys song written by Brian Wilson, who passed away last week. I could probably do a whole video about Brian Wilson, and maybe I will do that later. But I wanted to talk about something else today, so here we go. Those of you who watch this channel regularly will probably have noticed that I didn't put anything up new last week. I just put up one video, I think on Friday, of a talk I gave in Bonn, Germany a couple of years ago. I thought it was a neat little video and wanted to share it. But there was a reason I didn't put anything. And oh, by the way, somebody asked me if I'm sitting on the toilet in that video. I am not sitting on a toilet in that video. I'm sitting on a zafu, and I was addressing a group of people, I don't know, 10 or 15 people who had come there, maybe 20, who come there to hear me talk in Bonn, Germany. So I'm not on the toilet. But so the reason I was not putting up videos last week is that I spent most of the week last week in the Ontario Kaiser Hospital. Down over there somewhere in Ontario, California. As some of you who've been watching this know, I've been struggling with a kidney stone that first made its appearance known, good Lord, almost 2 months ago. And it's been sitting in there and it's been causing trouble. And on Friday, what was it? Last Saturday morning, I woke up with extreme pain and my temperature had shot up to 102 point something Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's high enough to be concerning. So I had my wife drive me to the Kaiser Hospital because I can't afford to call an ambulance to do that. But luckily she was able to drive me fast enough to get me in there, and they admitted me pretty much immediately. They're like, "Oh, you're in bad shape. Let's get you in here," and pretty quickly performed this kind of emergency, I guess you'd call it a kind of surgery. They put a stent in. For those of you, I don't even understand most of these things, but it holds the little pipes in there open so that any of the infected stuff can drain out. And then they put me on an IV drip of I don't know, saline solution and antibiotics and all kinds of stuff. And I don't want to tell you all the details, but I had little pipes sticking out of me in various places and a bunch of wires stuck to me. And I ended up in a hospital bed up there at the hospital, and basically kind of in not very good shape and couldn't really move very much. I mean, I wasn't paralyzed or anything, but I could, but with all that stuff attached to me, I couldn't go very far. They were really nice, as hospital stays go. I think what I experienced was probably just about as good as it could be. It was terrible. I didn't like it at all. But the nurses and doctors on call were very attentive, and they helped me deal with everything that I had to deal with. Because the interesting thing about this whole business, that I'll try to make a sort of a Buddhist point about it, was that I found myself in a position of total dependence. I think Shozan Jack Haubner, my friend who does a video channel called Zen Confidential, I believe he did a video about his experience. I know he wrote about it in one of his books. I'm not sure which one, but he had an experience where he got God, was pancreatitis, I think, when he was at Mount Baldy Zen Center. I assume he ended up in the same hospital I did, because that would be the nearest hospital to Mount Baldy Zen Center, is the one that I ended up going to. And his situation sounds like it was way worse than mine. I mean, mine was not pleasant at all, but it sounds like his was really touch and go there. Like he probably could have died. And I think about it, my own position, my own situation myself, and I had sepsis at some point. And it was the sort of thing where in 21st century suburban, I guess you'd call this America, it's not really considered life-threatening anymore, but it's the kind of thing that 100 years ago would almost certainly have killed me. 50 years ago probably would have come close to killing me, if not killed me. But these days it's something they have a lot of stuff to take care of. So, but I guess I came pretty close to dying, if you really want to put it that way. And because of that, I was totally dependent upon other people. I had no independence of my own. I mean, they would ask me, do you want us to do this? Do you want us to do that? But it was almost kind of like, it's almost like a legal formality at that point. It's like, yeah, do that. whatever you think needs to be done, just do it. Was kind of the position I was in when they were doing all this stuff. And then, as I said, when I was in the hospital, I was totally dependent on a staff of nurses and doctors and people who were kind of monitoring my position around the clock and making sure I didn't slip off into that dark night of the soul or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm mixing my metaphors here, but I something happened there that I kind of wanted to talk about, and let me talk about it. I was emailing with Shozan, who I just mentioned, the guy who does the Zen Confidential website, and he's a friend of mine, and he lives in Europe. So, I was basically, during this time, I'm pretty much not sleeping for the entire 5 nights I was in the hospital. I mean, I would get a half an hour or so here and there of sleep, but mostly I was just awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, napping on and off, but pretty much awake. And so he was awake when I was awake, so I could email him. And I was in this state of what I found out later on when I read the little pamphlet they gave me as an outpatient about sepsis and what it can do is, one of the things it can do is predispose you to depression. I guess it's because all the infectious stuff going around in your body tends to kind of affect your mind in that way. So I was really getting that depression, and they were also feeding me, well, I was asking for it, so I don't want to blame them, but a lot of opiates while I was there. Not really strong ones, as it turns out, but opiates nonetheless, which also kind of send you off into, they'll either send you off into a kind of euphoria or send you off into depression. And for me, it was more sending me off into depression. So at one point, I was writing to Shozan, and I said something like, because I was feeling so bad. I said, I feel like I'm alive because other people, I'm obligated to be alive for other people, but I'm not feeling it anymore. Like I just was, I'm done with this. Now I say this guardedly because I don't want to put this forth as this is my position on things. It was mainly, I believe, the drugs and the disease talking at that point, but I was feeling really, really low. And as I kind of came out of that, I had this kind of little Buddhist epiphany, that if I really take Buddhism at its word, and I do, because I've had some experiences around this which make me believe it is, make me convinced, 100% convinced that it is true, that we are not autonomous individuals doing our thing in the world. We are, each and every one of us, an extension, an expression of something much, much bigger, which includes everybody and everything. So the same something that we can't really name that looks out from my eyes also looks out from your eyes, and also looks out from Ziggy's eyes, and from my wife's eyes, and everybody else's eyes, and it's all the same thing. Therefore, if I find myself in a position where I I feel like I don't want to go on, but other people want me to go on, that's the same as me wanting to go on, because it's the same me that wants me to go on. It's not localized here, for the moment. For the moment, this is feeling really down, like he wants to just, walk off the stage. But other people want to embrace me and keep me here, and they feel some kind of love and need, and maybe they're getting something out of what I do and what I say. And so because of that, it's exactly the same. So I don't need my desires, my will, my wants in this case, and probably every case really, are kind of, not that important. It's not that big a deal what I want. It's a bigger deal what the universe as a whole wants, what the great something wants. And I really, this putting myself into the total submission to others made me realize, it's not really just me who even keeps this going. It's really a lot of other people and a lot of other things and a lot of other forces out there that kind of, for whatever reason, want me to go on. And I really value that. And as some of you know, because I've talked about this a few times on this channel, I married into a great big Mexican family a few years ago. And, this is, well, I'll say it anyway. I feel like it's slightly tangential. I feel like my particular tribe in the universe, the sort of ethnically ambiguous, generic white person of American, has... And I feel maybe this is true in Europe too. We've lost something. It's probably not as true in Europe. I'll take that back. But it's definitely true in America. A lot of us have lost something in terms of family and the support that a family can give. Because, as far as long as I've been kind of involved with this, my new family for the past, I'd say, 10 years. It's been about 10 years since, I haven't been married 10 years quite yet, but I've been a part of this family for about 10 years. And I've really seen how important that is for them. It was at first, frankly, I'll say this quietly because I think my wife is upstairs, might be listening, a little annoying. I'd be going, we're getting together with your family again, because absolutely every week we get together with the family just to kind of most of the time do nothing. We have dinner together, and then everybody sits around chatting and watching TV and whatnot. Sometimes we do something, but most of the time it's just nothing. And then beyond that, there's always like some cousin from somewhere coming over, or some uncle coming over, or some aunt coming over, and then I have to go participate with that too and everything. And so last Sunday was Father's Day, and I got what do you call it? Not admitted, but the opposite of admitted. I can't think of what the word is right now. When they tell you can go home from the hospital. I went home from the hospital on Thursday morning, and then Sunday they had to get together for Father's Day, and it was one of the bigger get-togethers of the family, and I'd been feeling really, really low and really like, ugh. And I was almost going to try to, talk my way out of going to Father's Day by, I'm too sick to go to Father's Day, I'm just going to stay home. But I finally decided, no, that's not what I want to do. I'm not really, in such bad shape that I can't go. So I went. And it was just so wonderful to have that connection, that connection with other people, even though my Spanish is awful and sometimes I just don't even understand what anybody's talking about. But it was really, it's really great. And I really found the great value in that. And I think to the extent that you folks out there are able to, if you are like me and you've kind of lost connection with family, it's worth trying to reestablish. I mean, there's always hassles around it, and there was an argument on Father's Day. I won't even get into that, but whatever. I wasn't arguing with anybody, but there's some other people were having a tiff, and even that kind of stuff, it's part of the process of how you get along. And I think one of the big problems in our society these days is we're so isolated and we're so into ourselves that we don't even know how to compromise with our families and figure it out. And this is one of the things I really value about this extended family I've married into, is that even if they're having a row with each other, they're gonna get together this weekend again, and it really helps. And if you're spending all your damn time on the internet and whatnot, and just kind of getting up in your head that way, that's no good. Get out, meet people, talk to people. Buddhism, of course, has the whole idea of Sangha, and Sangha is the Buddhist community. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Buddhist community, like the designated Buddhist community. But the community that you have and the people that you talk to are really important, especially getting together with people who you don't necessarily agree with on everything. This is the kind of wonder of the internet age, is that you can select your friend groups to only include people who absolutely agree with everything you say. And if they disagree with one little thing, you just knock them out of the group and you never talk to them again. That's no way to live. That really is no way to live. And we've got to find a way out of that if we want to survive as a society. That's really, I think, an important thing. So there you go. Basically, I'm feeling better. I also found the value of dumb entertainment, by the way. Just something else I wanted to bring out. A friend of mine, Bob, told me about this YouTuber called Big Action Bill, who does these long videos, like some of them are like an hour long, deep dives into various Godzilla movies and tells you everything he's learned about. He doesn't have practical experience like I do in the business, but he does read a lot, and so he knows a lot about those movies. And I was just, when I couldn't sleep, I was sitting there watching Big Action Bill's videos and feeling good, for a moment. So I feel like even dumb entertainment, such as I consider what I do to be dumb entertainment, even that really, really helps. So anything you put out there that helps, just don't put things out there that deliberately get people riled up and upset. That's no good. But we'll leave that aside for the moment. And basically, I'm feeling pretty good now. Not great. There's still I've even lost count. There's still a bunch more things I have to do medically over the next few weeks, and I hope all of that goes swimmingly as well as it can. But I hope that the really, really bad part is behind me, and that the rest of it goes a bit more smoothly, because it won't involve emergency visits and crazy things like that. So it's all more like, do it this day and do the next thing that day and all that. So I think I'll be fine, and I'll continue making videos as long as people continue watching them. Also, some of my European fans who heard that I was in the hospital were really worried. Like, they've heard what happens in America to people who go to the hospital. Luckily, my wife has a job which has insurance, which also covers her spouse, which is me. So I'm doing okay so far. If that changes, I may reach out to people for support. But for the time being, no need to worry about that. So don't worry about that. I'm doing okay. And I plan to continue doing okay as long as I'm doing okay, until such time as the inevitable happens and I'm not doing okay anymore. But let's hope I can postpone that for a while. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can postpone that inevitability, but it comes to all of us, and that's something I was also thinking about in the hospital there. One of these days, it's going to be something that they can't fix, or maybe I'll just, if I'm lucky enough, I'll just go to sleep one day and not wake up. But in any case, that's what happens to all of us, and I kind of feel like, all things considered, I'm doing pretty good. My mother, as some of you know, was very, very sick, and by the time she was my age, she basically couldn't do anything for herself, like nothing. We had to take her we had to feed her, we had to take her to the bathroom when she needed to go to the bathroom, we had to help her walk places. I actually, by the time she was my age, I don't think she was walking at all. We were wheeling her around in a chair. But anyway, at least, I'm doing better than that. Bless you, Mom. I'm sorry to put it that way. I think she'd understand. But yeah, so I feel like I'm already living on bonus miles, when I think about that. So it's pretty great to be here, and I'm happy to continue doing what I do. And I hope you enjoy it and find some value in it, and maybe find some value in what I've been saying today. And if you do find some value in what I've been saying today, I'll say what I always do, because the main way I make my living is through your donations. I don't have a job and a salary. I don't have a foundation that supports me or anything. It's all coming almost entirely from you guys who watch my videos. So if you want to donate anything to me, like I said, I'm not in particularly bad financial straits at the moment because of my wife's insurance, but as always, I do depend on your donations. So you can go to the URL that you're about to see on the screen below, or you're about to hear if you are listening to the audio version, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. That's where you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts, and those, as I say, are my main way of making a living. I appreciate your support, and but as always, you don't got to support me if you don't want to. Especially now, I'm not trying to make a big deal of what's going on now in terms of that. So really good. And at the end of this video, I'll put up where I'm going to be in Europe in September. If you want to come see me and talk to me there, please do. All right, we'll talk to you again. See you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. I forgot to mention how helpful Ziggy has been. Ziggy is one of these amazing, intuitive creatures who knows when you're feeling not so good, and he has been just so supportive in ways that are kind of almost spooky. He knows that something's up with me, and he's been really nice. So there's Ziggy. All right, see you later, Zig. September 11th through 14th, I'll be leading a retreat in Finland. For info on that, write to kajozendo@gmail.com. September 17th through 21st, I'll be leading a retreat at Benediktushof Retreat Center in Bavaria in Germany. For info on that, write to info@benediktushof-holzkirchen.de. September 25th, I will be giving a talk in Devon in the UK, and for info on that, write to Anshin, ANSHIN, @sotozen.uk. And September 27th through 30th, I'll be leading a retreat in Hebden Bridge, also in the UK. For info on that, write to hebdenzen@gmail.com. See you there.